Hi everyone, it's Joy Ford again, and I'm going to be doing a reading today of the poetry of Julia Vinograd, the street poet of Berkeley. I mentioned her in my last post. She used to come around to all the tables at Caffe Mediterraneum, where I used to hang out and write, and she would sell her books. I think they were like $2 or $3 each, and she published over 60 in her lifetime. She won a pushcart prize and also an American Book Award in 1985. And so I'm going to be reading selections from the books that I bought from her and that are all signed copies when I was living in Berkeley. And also I'll be reading one of the actual poem that she was awarded the Pushcart Prize for. And I'm also going to be reading a couple other poems, one by Pan Ellington, who also is a street poet in Berkeley. And I also have one of my own poems, which I just wrote today as a kind of call response to the poem of Pan's that I selected. So I'll be reading all this poetry, and I hope you enjoy it very much. The first one is from Julia's book, Blues for the Berkeley Inn. There is a picture of Julia on the cover. And the first poem, People's Park. People's Park was only a block away from the Caffe Mediterraneum, and it was the kind of famous park where street people hung out. And I can't remember what the exact history of it was, but it was always a bone of contention between the people of Berkeley and the university, because I think it was owned by the university, and at some point they built volleyball courts in the park, and there was actually a couple of riots, as I recall, over People's Park in Berkeley while I lived there, and windows got smashed and people were running all over, so it was always very exciting. But here's Julia's poem, People's Park. People's Park. This is People's Park, where tattooed fighters planted rose tattoos and roses grew blood red. It's not a peaceful place. The vines are tangled with our nerves. Grass untidy as a drunk's beard. Trees grow shopping carts. Bushes grow sleeping bags. Lilies of the valley smoke cigarettes they just bummed, but with such style. Here are sunflowers that'll steal your backpack when you're not looking, daisies crooked as game booths at the circus, and violets sticking out their impudent purple tongues. Or is that us? I don't know. It doesn't matter. When people come to Berkeley, they always ask to see People's Park, and when I show it to them, they don't see it. Next time, I'm not going to walk them a few blocks, watch their faces, and try to explain. Instead, I'll show them my hands. Here's People's Park, I'll say. Here. I bought weed in People's Park one time with my sister. All right. This poem's called Winter. The nights are cold. Even the people inside the TV screen shiver. Fire hydrants huddle, hunching even smaller to stay out of the wind. Telephone poles clutch more and more torn posters tighter around them. The red hand in the Don't Walk sign blows on its fingers in between flashing. Cold. The trees want to grow fur over their frozen bark. The garbage cans want to set themselves on fire. The moon wants its mother. Even the white line down the street wants to come inside. So do we. Cold. This poem is called Graduation Gowns. Those graduation gowns should be worn with nothing underneath, a wind molding them to young bodies, and the hats flat because they're holding up the Parthenon roof. Knowledge naked to the ruthless sun, the undisturbing centuries at play. Modern clothes worn under those gowns make the boys look like Dracula, caught in daylight, about to crumble till there's nothing left but the cape. And the girls look like they came from an origami booklet. First the gown will fold back, and then their tidy knees will close over the point of their nose, and they'll be gone. They are unreal, those gowns. They are too real, those gowns. They are worn once only, black to consummate a marriage to the mind. The families with their gifts of flowers, happy tears, and arranged for futures do not look at the gowns. The gowns are put away, they are only cloth. What we forget, they will not remember. I thought that was appropriate because obviously Julia and UC Berkeley, well, she went to UC Berkeley. She got a bachelor's degree there, and then she got an MFA from the Iowa Writers uh, Workshop. Okay. This one is from a book called Eye Contact is a Confession, which, by the way, I'm trying to look directly at the camera these days because I've been told that when I just look at the screen, I look down. I'm looking down. So I'm looking at the camera and it feels very weird. So this is Eye Contact is a Confession. And the first poem is For My Dead Mother. Yesterday my dead mother visited me, younger than I'd expected, wearing the white blouse and gray skirt she hated and always wore. I grew webs between my fingers so they wouldn't shake, turned my lips to a beak so as not to answer questions, hunched feathers at my shoulders. It didn't help. She knew I wasn't really a duck, and I knew she was really dead, and it didn't seem to make any difference. She didn't say what she wanted. I was always more frightened by what she didn't say, closing a screen door so quietly a chill went down my spine when anyone else would have slammed it. When she was alive, now and forever. I turned back to myself, but it was my own presence I found hard to believe, not hers. Not with the seams of her stockings so painfully straight in my cluttered room. There she was, holding her shiny black purse under her left arm. She'd gone back to being left-handed after she died. She wouldn't even tell me to clean up my room or to leave her alone. We didn't speak. The thin bones in her wrists watched me more than her face. This has happened before. We're not separate enough for grief. It's more like she's lost her car keys somewhere in my head and keeps coming back for them. Okay. And this one's called Punk Girl. Black net stockings, torn on the lower thigh so her own skin looks like a bruise. Pink flamingo hair perching on her head like a resort lawn. Heavy leather belt with lots of buckles slung low over her hips, and the flaring leather miniskirt she has to keep swatting down like a swarm of flies. She's a little plumper than is strictly fashionable, and she can't sit still. She's chain lighting cigarettes and forgetting to smoke them. All that health, wrapped up in studs and skulls and an upside-down rubber crucifix. About 19, and she still hasn't gotten her nails right. So much care and work made her into a vampire's wedding cake, all the little black candles burning. Okay, and then this one's called Free Gilda, the Shopping Cart. So this is about the hate man in Berkeley who, I don't know if he's still around, but he used to go around screaming at people and telling them that he hates them. And one time, my dad bought me a car that was kind of a lemon from the start. It was used, obviously, and it had problems. It used to smoke a lot from the exhaust pipe. And one time I was driving up Telegraph Avenue, and as I was about to turn left, right in front of Caffe Med, the hate man comes up behind me on his bike, and he screams out to the entire street, "Your car is killing me!" And so, that was fun. Free Gilda, the shopping cart. The cops impounded the hate man's shopping cart. The hate man who won't trust you unless you tell him you hate him, his answer to the love movement. The hate man wears one sneaker and one high heel and a woman's bra, gray in his beard, a twinkle in his eye, and various hats that look like puppies of an antique chandelier. And always with Gilda, his non-denominational shopping cart. This morning I signed a petition to free Gilda, the latest political prisoner, probably being beaten and raped in jail. All the shopping carts of People's Park play on Gilda's bars like children on jungle gyms. The Lamb of God is in the hate man's shopping cart, a stuffed toy with white curls and black button eyes. And the hate man pulls it out to heckle the street preachers, waving it in their faces, yelling through a megaphone made of a paper cup with the bottom torn out, and demanding we all worship the sacred zucchini while rattling Gilda's wheels for emphasis. Gilda, mother of jazz, her dumpster radio has no batteries. It runs on mojos, chicken feet, voodoo statues, twisted straw dolls, twisted straw people. The cops run them from every doorway, steam grating, bus bench, hole in the ground till one of the holes is in a clarinet and they come out playing the blues. Shopping carts become flying saucers with a faster-than-light drive, discovered by rubbing squashed beer cans against old Christmas tree ornaments and a plastic plant with dust on its leaves. Gilda can get us to Mars if we can only get her out of jail. The world's going to hell in a bucket. I can't save the world. I'll save the bucket. The shopping cart. Free Gilda. Okay. All right. This next one is paper television. Here's Julia again. I think she's featured on the cover of all of her books. They are all published by Zeitgeist Press, which I think she was kind of one of the founders of it. So, all right. This one's called Spring. When I was a teenager, I despised spring. I felt marvelously doomed, and I wasn't about to be bought off by some trite flowers and overly blatant sunlight. I listened to death whisper secrets in the walls at night and thought I understood. I didn't want to be interrupted by a batch of birds flapping about and yakking outside the window. Spring made me feel human, and I wanted more. Everyone smiling the same smile seemed unsanitary, like everyone eating from the same plate with dirty fingers. But I was a teenager. I'd never been hungry, not even for hope. At the time, I regarded hope as an insult to my own shining bleakness. I had the wrong kind of lips for a sneer, but I practiced before a mirror anyway. That was a long time ago. Now spring makes me feel human when I've settled for less. Doom didn't work out, like most relationships. Now I hear death whisper secrets in the walls at night, and I'm afraid I do understand. And I welcome the birds, the sunlight, and the loud, tasteless flowers that interrupt that whisper, however briefly. This one's called Lost. I was having coffee at an outdoor cafe when two foreign students came by, one with a video camera, one with a righteous attitude. The attitude asked if it was all right to ask me a question. I nodded vaguely. The video started running and they demanded, did I know where Peru was? Then they took my picture while I admitted I didn't know where Peru was. They hadn't expected me to know. They thanked me scornfully and stomped off. I suppose they were from Peru. I hope somebody finds them. I do too. Inside a paperweight. I'm inside a glass paperweight. You could turn it upside down and I wouldn't come unglued from my chair. It would snow upside down around me and I wouldn't notice. Warm snow. The coffee I'm not drinking anymore would turn upside down, but it wouldn't spill. You could hold the paperweight in your hand. I wouldn't know you were there. I wouldn't know what you look like. I reach out my hand and touch a cut glass ashtray on the coffee table inside the paperweight. I don't smoke. I don't touch you. You don't touch me. Sometimes I'm upside down, but it doesn't matter. Sometimes it snows. Okay. This one's called Blues for All of Us. And this one has a very shocking picture. Very scary. And this poem is called In Lonely's House. Lonely's house is big, so big he'll put you in a birdcage to beat against the bars and sing of what went wrong. In Lonely's house, cuckoo clocks lay eggs on the hour, and Lonely eats them. Lonely breaks mirrors in his soup like crackers and puts gravy on mothballs. Lonely'll fry your heart in wine sauce for years, carve it with a long, sharp knife, and eat it with a silver spoon while you're still trying to get away. In Lonely's house, there's always enough love letters burning in the fireplace to keep him warm. Lonely's breath is musty as a dance hall closed for 20 years, where your dreams are stored under white drop cloths along with the bandstand and little tables. Lonely'll stick a straw down your throat and suck out all the kisses. Lonely is always thirsty. In Lonely's dungeon, you're chained to a photograph. The whips are woven smiles, and you're branded by a gentle hand that will never touch you again. Finally, you just sit there, and spiders spin their webs from nose to chin and between your fingers. In Lonely's house, music boxes play your song and a porcelain couple dance like you used to, but they're not real and you're alone. Lonely leans in to watch you. Lonely just loves music. In Lonely's house, when no one comes for dinner, he puts pink flamingo lawn ornaments in the black walnut chairs all down his long table and gives them all cigars. In Lonely's house, but where is Lonely's house? I've seen him in hotel rooms, boots stretched out on the bed, reading the King James Bible and giggling. I've seen him watching old women in flowered dresses at bus stops, pretending not to notice him. They're good. He's better. I've seen him on the first day of school. The books he carries are blank. I've seen him on the last days. Locks won't keep out Lonely. His house is your house. His house is mine. All right, and this one is called Laughter. Laughter. Mothers sometimes bring their children out spare changing. Wide-eyed, clinging to Mama's skirts, reaching out a trembling hand while the other thumb heads hopefully for a mouth. The children look so sad. I blow soap bubbles for them without thinking. I'm the bubble lady. It's what I do. And the children laugh, chase the bubbles, and squeal, "Mama, Mama, look it!" Until their mother stops me, sometimes patiently, sometimes reproachfully. I should understand. No one gives money to happy, laughing children who look like they don't need anything. By giving them bubbles, I'm stealing their dinners. By making them laugh, I'm making them lose. She'll feed them. She's their mother. I look at her and know they'll eat. But if they're not allowed to laugh, will they still be children? Will she make sure they laugh extra at home? Indeed. This one's called Furnished Room. The only window looks out on a wall, light always the same cement gray. Her eyes are gray. Were they always gray? A bed, a dresser, a sink in the closet, hot water faucets been stuck for years, bathrooms down the hall, nice girls don't go there. The wiring would work fine if nobody lived here, but with hot plates and heaters that only heat 2 inches around them, fuses do blow and the elevator goes out. Walls wear her away. Soap washes off her fingerprints. The damp stain in the upper left-hand corner is clearer than the mirror. Every night the stain grows. Every day her future shrinks. She can scream because nothing happens, but the clunk of the radiator is more alive. It's been in the room longer. Cold water faucet leaks. Not much, but it doesn't stop. It drips into her memories. The colors smear and then fade. Was her hair red once? These are the last two from the books. This one is called Reading. Oh, and this is Cannibal Casserole. New and selected poems from 1996 to 2006. Cannibal Casserole. Okay. Reading. When I first loved reading as a young girl, I refused to believe books had authors. Some grumpy old man or tailored coat lady invented the lover I took to bed last night and was leering over us? Oh no. Authors' names were the library's filing system, nothing more. People were inside books on their own, like water inside a fire hydrant. Whole cities and centuries in 2 inches of paper. A pillar of water reaching the sky, and every child followed it, squealing to the promised land. When I was about 15, everything was alive. I could talk to trees and stones, and I believed what I read. When I put my hands on a book, the cover was warm. I could almost hear it breathing. Plastic skeleton. I've got a plastic full-length skeleton dangling from my ceiling at the foot of my bed. The Boy Scouts motto, be prepared. He's supposed to glow in the dark, but he doesn't. I hung him with bright-colored carnival beads, some from his shoulders like Larry King's red suspenders, most from his hips and dangling down his legs, orange, yellow, purple. I wrapped a few strings of gold paper stars through his ribs and put a long black feather in his wrist bones. Since I couldn't tie it to his fingers, when the windows opened to the wind, he turned slowly on his string, watching me from every angle, judging. Is the meat ready yet? No, not yet. All right. So those are the books I have. I bought all of those directly from Julia herself, and she signed each one of them. And so now I'm going to read the poem that she won the Pushcart Prize for, which happens to be, I'll put a link in the post, happens to be from the Poetic Outlaws on Substack. So, but I'll put a link into the post so you can take a look as well. And this is called For the Young Men Who Died of AIDS. The dead lovers are almost as beautiful as razor-edged spaces in the air where they used to walk. Do you remember his hand lazily playing with the rim of a glass, making the ghost of a bell sound for his own ghost, and the talk didn't even pause? The glass is whole. Break it now, break everything. How can people go on buying toothpaste and planning their summer vacations? Vegetables would care more. The potato has 1,000 eyes all mourning for the lovers who lived in their deaths like a country foreign to everywhere for a long time before dying. A long time watching people look away. The potato only met them under the earth after their deaths, and it still wept, and we do not. The ghost bell makes barely a sound forever. The dead lovers are still in love, but no one else is. He took his hand with him. A grave is as good as a briefcase to keep the essentials in. A smile, bones, a way of biting his lip just before looking into your eyes. Shoulder blades cutting into summer like butter. All the commuters in a rush hour traffic jam are cursing because the lovers are dying faster than their cars. The child sent to bed without dinner cries for the lovers, also sent to bed early and without. Unfair. Throw the dishes against the wall, break them. The dead lovers are almost as beautiful as when they were alive. You can hear the rim of a glass tolling for the ghosts to come home. Break the glass, break the ghosts, pull down the sky, break everything. Dance on the fragments, scream their names, get splinters of ghosts under your skin, torn and bleeding because it hurts so bad. Well, that was Julia Vinograd, and so she died in 2018, I mentioned, and Berkeley, has changed a lot, and well, we haven't lived in the Bay Area now since 2019, so we left very shortly, actually, after she died, not because of that, but anyway, so I just have always felt kind of a connection to her because we met, because we talked a little bit, and because I really always liked the poems in her books. You can kind of open them at random, and there's always something, very Berkeley about everything she writes. So anyway, I thought it would be nice to memorialize her a little bit. I'm planning to do sort of a series of different readings of books that probably people haven't heard of, or that people, it may be difficult to get copies of, or whatever, that I have encountered over the years. And so this was kind of one of them, because I don't know that her poetry is collected anywhere online, and I'm not sure it's even still for sale. Maybe it is through Zeitgeist Press. you can check it out. In the meantime, I'm going to read another Berkeley Street Poets poem. This is Pan Ellington, who's on Substack at House of Ellington. And Pan and I have never met, but Pan is very sweet. And here is Pan's poem, The Very Smallest Snail at Work. The very smallest snail at work, found just at the door handle, having travelled very slowly, quietly, deliberately from the ground from whence it came, so new and so delicate, the movement of its tail clear and visible through its translucent shell. And so, I like that. And here is my response to Pan's poem about the snail. The days of no promises. I long for the days when fairies rode snails as steeds, and dandelions licked their tailors but promised not to eat them, when robots were just maids, not masters, and jet cars flew but had no aspirations to go to space, when young girls were safe at tea parties, and dodos were adorable in their waistcoats and spats, but certainly not heads of state. No, I long for the days. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'd love to hear your comments. And I hope everyone is staying safe and staying warm and taking care. Thank you very much for being here.